Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us for our June QualiWare user group meeting in our open house. My name is Cecile Hurley. I know most of you. Met some new friends today from Transport Canada, so we wanted to welcome them. So thank you for joining our QualiWare users group meeting for June, and welcome to our open house. The agenda we have for you today is Kevin providing some CloseReach news. We have a training update that we're going to talk about. We're going to be running quite a number of courses over the summer, and we'll provide some more information about that. I'm going to provide an update on support. We have some new things available for ways to interact with the support team that I want to show you today. Kevin's going to go through some examples of published content within the Government of Canada, things that our clients have been working on that may be of interest to you. And then we're also going to show you some fun techie stuff about GitHub and APIs. And then at the end, we've got time for open forum to discuss the next meeting, which will be coming up in September. Kevin, over to you, sir.
Okay. So, Transport Canada, welcome back. Welcome to the team. We're glad that you're able to come out and join us. And we've been helping them get QualiWare up and running in the transport environment. So, and the first task that they're looking at, I think, the first things they're addressing is application portfolio management. So, a few people around that could give you some advice and things on that. PSPC has acquired some additional licenses. Our project there is going quite well. For those that don't know what we're doing, we're working with the Real Property Group there on a knowledge management capture project. So they've got people with a lot of information up here, in people's heads that are retiring or maybe moving on, stuff they want to capture and share across the organization. And, we're actually going to see a couple of their tracking dashboards today, but a little later on. But we're helping them model out and identify different areas that they need to, capture information about. So. And that'll be shared across the organization as that happens. SSC is upgrading to 10.9.1. So if anybody has any questions about that once they're done, I think they'll be happy to share their experience with that. So that's I don't think anybody else is making that move just yet. We did. You guys are there. We're there tonight. Yeah. And CBSA is already there as well. So, yeah, lots of interesting things in the tool set in 10.9. I'm actually going to show a little bit in the API section about that. Something that Kuno sort of discussed before, but people may have missed. Or you can actually generate your API code right out of QualiWare. So, and 10.10. Supposedly due the end of the summer. What year?
It's the Danish summer.
JR, a little
Danish summer.
Could you just a bit to the right, JR? Just a bit to your right, like that Simu Leo commercial with his fingers. Yeah. Just a bit. Anyhow, yeah. So in theory, the end of the summer, and it will be supported for 2 years. So rather than the typical 1 year. And that's a year from now, or actually sooner, in theory. The new version 10.11 will be out. And this is to give everybody time to convert. So QCL, a lot of QCL going away and a lot more JavaScript. So I think QCL will still be around for quite a while, QCL engines. So, but as you do more and more on the web, JavaScript's configuration and that stuff is the way it'll be going. So, more on that to follow. We're working with QualiWare to get them on the GC Cloud SaaS supply arrangement. So they have pretty well all the different certifications necessary. And we're providing cloud environments right now. Like we have Global Affairs on one, we have PSPC on one, and we're talking to a couple of others, but those are unclassified environments. So we want to be able to offer protected B. So we're looking for a department to help us do the local assessment that is part of that process. So if there's a department there that wants to step up and work through this with us, you reach out to Cecile or myself at some point, and we'll sort of explain where we are in our preparation for submitting. There's different streams under the SaaS environment. And I mean, the lowest one, I mean, you don't need anything. Tier 4, we don't think it's very valuable to do that. We at CloseReach might do it just to have it locally here. But protected B is a tier 2, tier 1, tier 2 environment, and that's what we're looking to put the QualiWare SaaS environment on. So a local assessment involves the department, a department. So we're looking for a volunteer. This is Michelle and I over at the Royal Ottawa. So we went to the Apex conference this year, and some of your departments may have been getting calls because of people we met there. The Apex Leadership Summit happens once a year, and it's essentially EXs that are part of the association. We met a lot of people, and we had a special banner there that said, "You scan and we donate." So for every person that walked up and scanned that on their phone, they got it generated an email that came to us, and we donated $20 per scan. So we donated over $2,000 to the Royal Ottawa, to the occupational stress clinic. So the people that handle PTSD. Yeah. And it was great. Like, there were people there, everybody tries to avoid the booths at these things, right? So I'd walk out into the building and start talking to some people. I say, look, just come over and scan it. We'll make a donation. And people were like blown away. Because we said, rather than handing out a pen or, some little thing, they just saw this as really, really good. So, and the people at Royal Ottawa were very, very grateful. So
Win-win, yeah.
it was a win-win, very definitely. We have a lot of training coming up, and transport's going to be taking a lot of that. And we're moving back to some in-person training. So the courses you see here, the first 6 at least, will be offered in this training room here. There will also be the opportunity for virtual training as well, during those courses. But, having an instructor, like Brenda or Anthony and different people, in the room with you when you've got questions, we think is quite useful. So
It's been updated with all these dates.
all of these are on the training calendar on the website. So if you want to, you've got a new person or a new group that needs some basic training, or, some of the more advanced stuff, the web publishing and things like that, you can find it on the website. So, Roger Burleton is coming to Ottawa to do some training at the Bank of Canada at the end of September. We're he's going to be running his business architecture course there. It's a closed course. However, since he's in town, we're negotiating with him right now to potentially offer that same course as open registration to the rest of the Government of Canada departments that might be interested. So we're looking at September 30th to October 2nd. He's just confirming the dates for us in the next little while. So anybody who's been on the course, I think, can attest that it's an interesting few days. Looking at how to approach architecture from a business perspective and turn things into some real deliverables. But we're going to sponsor, whether that second course happens or not, on September 25th, which is, I think, a Wednesday, in his first course. We're going to bring Roger in to have a chat here. And we'll be talking about, well, we've got a couple of topics, and we're going to send those out to everybody who has attended the meeting today. And you get to vote. What are you interested in? Which topic? And we'll see which one wins. A couple of different choices. One is, how do I really build the linkage between business and enterprise architecture? Between the technology side of the house and the business side of the house. And the other one is some different perspectives on business architecture. But I've got a detailed description, and in the next couple of days, everybody will get an email, and we'd appreciate your vote. And then we'll figure out where we have this, whether it's here or whether we take a meeting room at a local hotel or something like that, depending on the size, the number of people that want to attend. And we'll be sponsoring that, so there'll be no cost for that. CBP, as the guys behind the collaborative business planning tool, are running a couple of courses in September. And, digital twin, big topic these days. The introduction, and what's a digital twin all about. There's a lot of stuff on Gartner if you've got access to that, to those subscriptions about digital twin of the organization. And, they're going to cover that 23 to 26, and then the actual tool set on the other dates. Cecile.
Thanks. So we have some new ways to interact with the CloseReach support team available, like live now on our website. When you go to the CloseReach website, and I'm going to show this in a moment, we've enabled a chat with support from the CloseReach website. So rather than emailing, you're still welcome to email support@closereach.ca. Send an email with your issue if you want to include screenshots and things like that. But if it's a quick question or a quick chat that you want to have, you can go to our website and chat with us there, and I'll show you that in a moment. There will be, the first time you go in there, it will ask you to accept that we use cookies. And that's this little screenshot that I showed you right there. So you just have to go, I agree, and then you'll be able to chat. You don't need to create an account. It should, if you can get to our website, you should be able to get to it. We've also enabled our knowledge base, and it's under the support menu item. I'll show that for you in a moment. Again, you don't need an account to get access to the knowledge base. It's not a duplication of the QualiWare Center of Excellence. It's some specific knowledge articles of things that we've encountered that we think is worthwhile sharing. And some guides and some how-to information up there as well. And also from our website, you'll be able to get to the support portal. Now this one does require you to create an account to use it. If you do, you can log a ticket and look up the status of your tickets. But you need to have the IP addresses for this need to be whitelisted, and that has been a little bit of a challenge for some departments. So if you want the IP addresses, I will provide them to you, but then it's up to you guys to actually get your security or networking teams to whitelist the IP addresses. So this is our CloseReach website. When you come here, you will see at the bottom right-hand corner, there is, chat. I need to actually. So you get the option of selecting whether you want to speak to sales or support. So if you want to buy something, please feel free to select sales. Michelle will be very happy to help you. And that can be anything that you want to buy. Could be licenses, could be training, could be any, anything.
We don't sell cars.
Yeah.
But if you want support, you click support.
Use guys.
And you'll be asked to describe your problem. And becomes a support person. So you can chat back and forth like this on the, pardon?
It's a heart attack.
That's a heart attack. My license has expired.
Call 911.
So we've cloned Indeed, scanned his brain, and now it's in this chat box.
That's right, that's right. So that's the support chat. It's as simple as that. Just go onto our website, it will pop up. Put in, accept the privacy, the cookies thing. And you'll probably be asked to give your name the first time you go through it in case we get disconnected. But once you've done that, it's as simple as that. So thank you, Cindy, for answering that. Also on the website, you'll see that when you click on support now, there are two menu items. There's the knowledge base and there's the support portal. If you already have an account on the support portal and you're logged in, you'll be taken directly to it. If you don't, you'll be asked to sign in. And then on the support portal, on the support page, pardon me, on the website, you'll also have the option to click on the knowledge base. And the knowledge base just is a standard keyword search with some guides, different topics that you can navigate through. But you can also just type in keyword search looking for answers. So that's live now. There for you guys to check out. Please give us feedback on how it goes and what you think of it. The idea here is, with the chat, we want to provide even better support than we already do. Have somebody there available to answer your questions when you have them. And then some additional articles on things that we've learned over the years that not necessarily you'll find on the QualiWare Center of Excellence.
And if you in departments have things that you'd like to share across government, you can pass them to us. And we'll put them up on here as knowledge article and curate them. So
if I put a ticket in on governance or something like that, and you gave me a solution, I would see it on here for someone else to do a search on.
So what we're doing initially is we've got a mechanism set up within our ticketing system that if we flag something for a knowledge article, and then Kevin's software and solutions group will take that over and create a knowledge article. So Kevin, if you want to share your screen, that would be great.
will. So we've actually made this part of the deck that we use with when we're talking to other government of Canada users. And we're grateful to looking at that screen. Should be like this one. This is actually shared services. I joked with somebody before that and told them we have been talking to a new area at shared services, and they said, "Oh yeah, QualiWare. We used to have that, but we don't have it anymore. We have a thing called ACE. ACE is the architecture collaboration environment. It's QualiWare. This is how they branded it. Now you can see desktops across the top, strategy, services, products and solutions, business side, technology, et cetera, et cetera. So, this is, one of their landing pages. And this is it in French. So they translated their content and done a lot of work around, the terminologies and things like that. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later as well. But again, you don't see the word QualiWare here. No, they're making it work for their business. Global affairs took a little bit different approach to things, kind of a catalog type of approach. Org charts, their program inventory, their service inventory, capability models, various pieces of legislation affecting global affairs. A high level breakdown of their departmental results framework and a high level model of, what are the different pieces of business architecture, how do they fit together? Again, TBS policies and GAC specific policy instruments. And then their major core responsibilities and major items within the DRF.
This is all still under development or is it available on the internet? That we won't see it.
This is, well, we can put you in touch with Francois. They haven't gone down very below this, really. They had started to build it out, then they went to some other things, but I think JR, you've got stuff on DRF on ESVC, right? And I'll show, we'll show that. This was their high level business architecture. So core responsibilities, programs, business services, what are all the different connections? How do things tie together?
Haven't Francois mentioned that the business architecture Jeffrey Parento?
Jeff Parento?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can provide that. CBSA, thanks James. Earlier in the week, he provided some copies of theirs. And again, kind of a mix of French and English, on a particular page or screen. And you can see that, James, maybe you want to talk about it a bit. There's business applications, your architecture, program, and other information.
Yeah, that's our basic landing page. Right now, the main desktops are located at the top, and the other areas are still under development, still on the menu side. So that's as we're building up the content and make sure that the framework inside will be making those adjustments afterwards.
And this, I found this one actually quite interesting, how they've used a custom layout, outside of the browsing or the improving layout. They created their own layout. And so you've got a high level process area model, and you can see in the screen on the right hand, or the frame on the right hand lower, they've got the level 2 and level 3 process models linked right there. So very simple, click. You don't have to drill down through layer after layer after layer. You get there with a minimum of effort. So, and again, so next version of QualiWare takes this layout, which is HTML dashboard layout, and pulls that up to the desktop level. So it'll be a little bit different. So where you have tiles right now and things like that, and things dynamically move around, right? I think that'll be structured a little bit differently. I mean, even this, when you change your screen size, things move, but you position things in certain sizes and in certain ways. So everything that QualiWare's led us to believe is that a lot of the same things you see here will be pulled up to the higher level. But really quite, I think the use of the different layouts and being able to build custom layouts is really, really important for organizations. We actually put together a preliminary design for PSPC for their real property group, just to focus in just for that business unit. So it gives you a different way beyond roles to customize your layout. And actually, I really appreciate you're sending the menus here, you know, the example. And I mean, you say you're still building them out. It looks pretty, looks pretty complete.
Not every area.
Not every area, but actually, JR had a question because we talked about menus, he and I. And it's like, well, how do you decide what goes on a desktop or a dashboard and what goes in the menu? Our experience, what we've done with our internal repository we call core, put all the stuff that doesn't use that often in the menus. The stuff that people need a lot, that goes on the desktops. But the menus do give you that, you know, the ability to provide a lot more linkages to other content, you know, through the different queries. And so yeah, we're kind of a you know, it's an architecture challenge, right? Where do you put things and how do you connect with your audience? That'll vary by organization or by use case. What's an LRAQ?
Oh, local and regional application questionnaire. It's like APM, but not APM.
Okay, there you go. So this is PSPC right now, and they're using their QualiWare dashboard or desktop as a dashboard. Here's all the different processes that we've got or we're working on and their current state, how they fit together. And so we're showing sort of one section of approved process maps here. And then they actually have built a master glossary of terms. Some departments do that, not everyone, but they looked at it from a business perspective, from the real property perspective. They wanted their own glossary for their business users to find the terminology and to help people use the same descriptions for things, which is everybody in architecture knows. What's a capability? Yeah, you'll get 5 different definitions, right? A little easier with some of these terms than defining some of those more contentious things. But yeah. ESDC, Jerry, you want to talk about it? You're standing right there. No, I think you know, business. This is all business architecture that we're showing here. I actually love it that you've got a radar up there that shows where people are spending their time. So using the social behavior warehouse to identify, you know, what the impact is. And you know, project impacts. ESDC pulls financial information from a finance system into QualiWare for their different projects. So that when they're going through, there are different gates and things like that, they can identify what's really happening in the real world out there. And you had a unique problem, right? You had to start projects with no financial information, and sometimes you had things the other way around. You had to be able to tie those things together after the fact. So. But again, business services, you got some DRX stuff there. What do you do below that?
Services, and then services out.
Okay. Great. But again, different viewpoints, different approaches, right? Depending on who your particular audience is. And these are some of the other desktops, and I sort of threw 3 of them together here. The first one is the technology side. So there's standards, products, technical standards by product, et cetera, et cetera. And then you've got your QualiWare solution. You've got a media library, service directory, things like that, so. I find it interesting you've got your license and descriptions, so.
That's for us. That's for admin. I want to know how many people are logged in today, who's using what.
There you go. So that's real-time feedback for who's using the tool set. Which is great. D&D. And I know they revised this one. Didn't read that?
It's in progress, yeah.
It's in progress, so this
Man's already modeled it out, validated.
plan, you did that work, didn't you? Initially?
Yeah.
There you go. So it took a 3/4 inch policy document, turned it into a set of models, programs, services, and everything else. A lot of work. Sylvia Lamb, one of our consultants, helped the Air Force build the other placemat. So everybody could drill down into the program that affected, that they were interested in. I think it's great. I mean, users can see themselves in that picture. I'm part of the CF-18 program, or I'm, cybersecurity or whatever, and being able to drill down through those things. So, again, different approaches to presenting content. Yeah.
Is that generated by QualiWare or is it external that points to QualiWare?
Those are both content that's built inside QualiWare,
Okay.
where images have been put on top of the objects.
Okay. No, interesting.
What's underneath, so that, but it's great for people to, and Brenda Hines, one of our people who worked with the Navy for a lot of years, modeling out ships, which are systems of systems, and having the imagery of the different classes of ships and all the different systems that are within that. And that helps people, again, relate to their business, to what they're in. That was part of a project to help build a single dashboard that showed the Navy's readiness over a 50-year span. Because that's their planning horizon. 5-year chunks. This actually is part of an application built by ADM Mac.
Kevin's on the line, you can ask him to talk.
Hey, Kevin, there you go. Maybe not. He's on mute.
Or doesn't want to talk.
Anyhow, the compendium is a way for people in the organization who have a certain role, understand what competencies they need and what training is available to them to get that competency. So if somebody gets, for example, moved up a level in terms of purchasing or buying authority, there's some training that they might have to take before they can exercise that authority. And this will route them to the particular documents or the training that they need to do. And regardless of where that material is. So it's linking SharePoint files, it's linking websites, all kinds of information together. It gives you a different way to sort through it, by role or by, particular types of,
We mustn't forget policies. Policies is what kicked it all off in the front end.
policies are, one of the key drivers. Oh, you saw a thumbs up there.
So it's a triangle. There are no diagrams, but it's a full architecture of the material management policies, training, and roles. Wherever a role exists within the policy, it's been lifted out, cross-linked to the training that's required to exercise that role. The training's linked back to which policies it's implementing and vice versa. So you can go in at any point and search and figure out what are the policies that affect me, what training, or if I have a policy that's updated, now what training do I go in, have to modify because I've got a record of where it's all being implemented. So that was Kevin's work.
So it's an interesting example of using QualiWare without a visualization. And this is actually something we talked with Global Affairs at one point about, because all of their processes are in HTML websites or big Word documents. And how do they govern and control that stuff? You can use the word import right into the description field. It'll keep all your formatting. And you don't need a diagram. But you can put that under governance then, and slowly over time turn it into a visualized model by breaking it apart. And that's a scenario that we showed them, because to convert, I mean, some of the things that you're looking at in terms of processes or in terms of standard operating procedures are massive documents. You're not going to convert a lot of those. That's a big deal. But here's a way to put things under governance and control and revision control those things and make them accessible to others through QualiWare without a diagram. Trial repository. So I wanted to share something with you here. So this is a discovery repository that we have, that we make available to people who are interested in QualiWare. But the reason that I brought you here today was I wanted to actually share with you what we've done here. And a lot of this work has been done by Jose and a few others in the organization. So here's our enterprise architecture repository in French. So you want to go look at strategy information, desktop. So we've built out all kinds of different models in using all of the various templates at different levels, so that somebody new to the organization or you new to the tool set can take a look at it and say, okay, that's what a business ecosystem model would look like, or a capability model, or the government of Canada, or shared services capability model, different organization diagrams, et cetera, et cetera. And again, you can see we've put all of this stuff French. So some things we're still working on. We haven't translated the name of this model. Jose.
It's always the one you pick.
Yeah, I know. But again, some things, we have been able to find, and some things we're still working on. But even in the repository explorer, we've got a fair bit of it translated here. We're still looking for a few messages. The menu system, same, we're translating all of our menu items so that people can drill down to the different levels, and it's all in, all in French. Picked a good one, all three levels. But again, Jose and others in the organization have been very good about finding a lot of these things, and help from Phil as well. Thank you. And other sources. But I'd say we're probably, how many terms do we have now?
I'm not too sure.
Thousands of terms translated in miscellaneous labels.
6,000.
Huh?
6,000 in my report.
6,000, yeah. So we're putting all of these together with instructions on where to go and what to change. And this is going to go up on our GitHub so that we can share that with departments. So you don't have to do necessarily all the translation. D&D started a lot of it way back when we first did the fr.xml files.
That's a good one.
Hmm?
That's a good file.
But those were QLM based, whereas this is all web based stuff. Some things you have to create French variants for. Like you gotta create a French publisher. You put the miscellaneous labels in French.
That's a separate publisher.
It's another copy, yeah. You just create the French variant for it.
Just keeping them synchronized,
That's
Maintenance.
always the challenge, yes.
maintenance deal.
You know, some objects, you've got to create a French, some of it is just you've got this giant, column of miscellaneous labels and it just picks the one that's the translation. Others, you have to actually create the French variant for the object. We've documented a lot of that and it's going to go into a file that's open to everybody in the government. Yeah.
We are trying our best so that you won't have to create a language variant of each object, like try to use the title. And when you create a new curvy, you have a column header column. So the only reason why you need a French or the other language variant is to change the name of that one. So we're trying to take that column and send that to the translator instead of having to create a new object just for that one. Same thing with the tiles and desktop and all that. They all have title or display name or some sort of label like that. Trying to have those terms sent to the translator so that you would not have to create the language variant of all of those, but make sure you do include those names or labels within your French publisher.
So if I haven't gone down the road of translation yet, should I be waiting for 1010 for that?
I would.
You would.
Well, you're still going to need the miscellaneous labels piece. That part's not going away.
Yes, you will still need that French publisher with the labels.
You will need the French
Right.
publisher with
Right.
all miscellaneous labels. But creating the French variant for selected objects depends what your need is in your department, right? So,
And that'll be 1010, you're thinking?
anyhow, we'll make that available to people. We're gonna control, I'm gonna talk about GitHub in the next few minutes here. And we'll talk about access to that, to be able to download this stuff. Yeah, James?
Yeah, even though you made it available, GitHub is the alternate method to get it in case you get blocked.
We'll work something out, yes. Yeah.
Just in the event that.
Yeah, this is just our way of, from our own perspective, GitHub is, I'll talk about that shortly, but it's a code management system. So it helps you do revision management.
Yeah, well, that's
So
what
everybody's working from,
So Cecile, when she talked about the support, are we gonna see some links on her site then? Because I'm not gonna remember to go to GitHub and then go to remember to Denise's site or, yeah.
Cecile.
That I just not gonna remember, so it'd be nice if it was all in one place.
we'll try and build some links between
A
those
link?
two. But yeah, but GitHub will require a specific sign in to get access to the stuff.
No, we can still put the link on this.
But we can put the link
Put the link.
where you
somewhere.
get at it.
Yeah.
Well, because GitHub, you would have a variety of different things on it, right? So it'd be nice that it was on your site.
Great. Anyhow, I wanted to make people aware of sort of the work that we've been doing, in terms of the French stuff. And, like I said, we translated a lot of content, across all of these different desktops. Yep.
Thinking of content, does the repository compare, copy the variants?
Yeah. That makes life easier too. But again, as the dashboards change here, or the desktops rather, we'll incorporate the new structures in it, but,
So are all those variants? All those tiles?
yeah. All these times,
1010, no.
I mean.
Well, the tiles are gonna disappear,
The
right?
thing is that those ones are files with text, so the content is text, so. It's like an activity with a short description. You need the French activity to get the French description. And those files, like they are, as they are now, it's basically.
These are really content, right? Because they're very specific, as opposed to, you know, strategy or capability or, you know, standard terminology things. You know, like the menu system down the side here, you know, those are just gonna use whatever we've got, the terminology that we got in miscellaneous labels. But what you're seeing here are specific tiles that we've created to show the tools capability. So expect to see that coming very shortly. Now, I am gonna go to GitHub. So for those people that don't know, GitHub is who owns it? Microsoft, I think. Yeah, it's a code management tool. It's a way of managing revisions to code and other related documentation and things like that. So what we've actually done is under the CloseReach GitHub, we've created a GCT. And under that, a series of sub-teams. So we've actually created a team for every department. So if you got somebody who's technical, or you've got some QCL, or you've got some queries, or you've got something in your publisher, or something you want to export, you can export. You can load it up here, or you can come here to look and see what everybody else has put up here. And you don't have to go into each team. You can use the search right from the top, and it searches across. We've arranged the permissions to look across all of the Government of Canada teams in one swoop. So, you know, hey, I want to find JR's last query about capability models. You can keyword search that, and it'll pull up some items. But we thought this was a way, so write access, for example, to the D&D library, their team, you know, would be people on Vince's team would have write access to that. But everybody else could have read access. So they can take it and do something with it. Or we could arrange this so that everybody could fork. What that means is take a copy and play with it within that team. And maybe it gets incorporated, you know, Vince's team sees something, hey, that's a great idea. I'm going to incorporate back into the fork here that we have. Anyhow, we're going to break things out. Common things like stuff around the publishers, queries or reports or spreadsheets. Those are kind of small chunks of code or, you know, a specific query design that I want to export or a layout or whatever. And then other things, well, if you look at, you know, the CloseReach team, I have, so each set of code is a repository in GitHub. So just say stuff is going to go onto the first repository. Way back when we first started with CBSA, we co-developed a thing called GSRM, Government of Canada's Strategic Reference Model. It's a service-oriented architecture. Services, triggers, programs, all of that. That will be in the second repository. The translation accelerator will be in the third one. So that this is where you'll come to get that code you want it to download and start to use it, or you want to modify it. We'll give people permission to modify in here, fork it, create a revision, make some changes. Whether we accept it back or not will be up to us, because we're the ones managing that code. But we see this as a way for us to share more information across the GC user community. And we think departments should have the ability to go to GitHub without a problem. So as you can see, we've started to structure it, along these different team lines. We thought it useful. A lot of times you'll see these things and it's just a giant mass of code. People want to see what their stuff is. So that's why we organize these teams. And we'll be reaching out to each of the departments. Michael Rowe from our team will be coordinating this, and he'll reach out to the different departments to see who you want to have access to this. Great. Cindy?
All right, so today I'll be demoing some exciting features that we found using the HTML embedded content through QualiWare. And so I'm back into the trial repository where Kevin was demoing the French, but for a different purpose this time. So I want to first go into our analytics dashboard. This is where our analytics desktop, and this is where we have a couple of integrations that we've made through QualiWare's embedded content, HTML embedded content field. The first one is Power BI. And so we've embedded Power BI into QualiWare so that organizations can see Power BI dashboards straight through QualiWare, right? And this is a live Power BI dashboard. I can change a couple of things on here to my liking. For example, I can change the start date, and that will change how much the values that I have on here. The discount will change, the quantity, sales. And so this is a live Power BI dashboard that is embedded straight into QualiWare. You don't need to go out of QualiWare to view this dashboard. This makes it easier for teams to see certain dashboards that are tailored for their specific use. So the date is one of them, but we can also categorize this by the type of profit or what profit was from. For example, in this dashboard, profit came from three main streams: furniture, office supplies, and technology. And if I want to see how much money did I get just from technology, I could click on the technology part. It'll show me, okay, 37% over here by segment from the consumer, 32.45% from corporate, 36.3% from the home office. Again, this is all straight through QualiWare. If I want to see how much it was from furniture, once again, I'm getting those numbers. But now, if I wanted to look at it a bit differently and even categorize it through the region and what type of stream of income we're getting from, we could see the West and the office supplies, and it shows how much it is from the office supplies in total, how much revenue we got in the thousands. And so this is something that we're doing straight through QualiWare, a Power BI dashboard that you can manipulate data with. And this is all set up this is connected through QualiWare. So Power BI was one of them. We also tested out another one that we have. And this is, yeah.
So in talking with different government departments, there's a lot of use of Power BI, right? It's a tool of choice, to do a lot of this analytic work. So being able to either to feed these dashboards or this information from QualiWare through an API to Power BI, and then just pull the graphics back in, the dashboards back in for your user community. That was one way to cycle that information around. But again, being able to give them an easy access. So, oh yeah, do I go into, like we were talking about before, where do I go to find my information, right? No, you go one place. Here's your dashboard. Here's your QualiWare desktop. And here's your 3 Power BI dashboards, plus your 2 QualiWare graphs and charts as well.
So the information in that Power BI comes directly from QualiWare, right? It's QualiWare object that was extracted.
This is actually coming from Power BI.
Just Power BI. It's a Excel table outside. You guys haven't played extracting QualiWare stuff.
So I can have an API that pushes out to that Power BI. And Power, like, let's face it, QualiWare will never be a business intelligence tool like Power BI, right? But in that way, the manipulation of data like that. So great, use Power BI to do that. Use QualiWare to feed it, but pull the to your user community, just pull the dashboards back. They don't need to go into Power BI. They don't need to go into the raw data. So yeah, you can do what you're talking about, which is QualiWare feeds the dashboards feed your user community back in
It
QualiWare.
can be like an automated task done every week, for example, to feed like an Excel spreadsheet and then.
How often do you pull your financial information into QualiWare from your finance system?
Daily,
Every day.
every 2 a year,
Scheduled task runs at
2 a year. But that's pulling it in. So
Yeah.
you push it out as well.
you can push it out as well.
Yeah, this is something we're looking at, integrating, somehow integrating QualiWare and Power BI. Initially, we're looking at not embedded Power BI integration, we're looking at more about, hey, here's the link, go check it out over there. And they will open Power BI.
Well, you can link outside to that kind of tool set.
The simplest way we were looking at is not full integration, but more of a reference.
Yeah.
But if we can get push to Power BI and integrate it, then they stay.
Integrate the dashboard back in here. That's, yeah.
So that saves a couple steps and the user experience is a lot better in that sense.
It'd be nice if we can get a generic query going, right? Query design that builds the generic query pushes that data. So that's,
Well, I'll show you what I showed you a little bit later. I'm gonna actually show, a link to, actually generate code for an API. Generate the HTML or the JSON code, in QualiWare. So anyhow, go ahead.
Right.
Cindy.
Thanks, Tim. And so this is Power BI. We've tested out a couple more. One of the more prominent ones that we found to work is HubSpot, our CRM tool. This is what we use to deal with all of our tickets. And we also have some dashboards set up on there. And so just through QualiWare, I can go into the different dashboards that we have set up on HubSpot. And it's not just that I can view them, but I can also manipulate the data on them and filter them to my liking. So let's say I want to do ticket dates that are less than 60 days. So I didn't want 90 days, but instead 60 days. And the data will change right in front of me live. Given the permissions, I can update reports as well through QualiWare that are originally on HubSpot.
Almost probably.
13 tickets. Wow.
13 tickets for each. Okay, we should call that just the JR.
this isn't real live data though, so that's okay.
Should be 26.
But yeah, so I won't save it for this purpose, but this just shows how much we can pull from a different app into QualiWare just through the simple embedded content. And in a moment, I'll go into how to set that up. But just to see the depth of data that you can actually pull, I can't even go into the other parts of HubSpot. So if I wanted to go into the ticketing system, contacts, companies, I could even go through there straight through QualiWare. So it's as if I'm on HubSpot, but I'm actually in a centralized place, which would be QualiWare for the organization. Now, getting into how it is set up, it's actually very simple to set up. So I'll kind of go into two parts of the setup. The first one is the HTML embedded content, and the second is the HTML desktop, where I set it up on the analytics desktop. So the HTML embedded content is the main feature here. Very slow when I share the screen, but here we go. All we need is the embed link from the software that we're using. So in these cases, Power BI and HubSpot. If I open up Power BI, all I need to put is this URL in the URL field. This is the embed link that I got straight through Power BI. I apply it, and I'll press OK, and I'll just publish the HTML embedded content. And this will, if I view this HTML embedded content, I'll be able to see the dashboard that we saw earlier with Power BI on it. And similarly for HubSpot, the exact same thing. Just pull the URL to show the dashboard. As you can see here, reports dashboard, view, and that's all it takes. All you have to do is put in that link, and you can view whatever you can pull from those exported websites. Now, the only thing is that there are some limitations to this. In the case that there are other things that we haven't been able to put on yet, such as SharePoint, and that would be something that would be great to have in the future. But that's not something on QualiWare's end. That's something more so on SharePoint's end. And so that's something that we as users can request to SharePoint. Please give us something that we can embed into our own links, and they would provide us with that. So yeah, once I have this set up, just to get it set up onto the dashboard, I can open up my specific dashboard, and in this case, I had my analytics dashboard. And through the different tiles that are here, I would just insert a new tile. In this case, I'll just open up the HubSpot tile that we have here. And in the link field, I'll just select the plus button. Excuse me. Yeah, so I would actually select the plus button and select the HTML tile, HTML embedded content. But since it's already selected, it takes me straight through the HTML embedded content. And that's it. All I have to do is publish the HTML desktop again, and you get the exact same view as we have set up right here through our discovery repository. Yeah, simply put, very cool that we can view external sources on QualiWare, have it in a centralized location for different people in the organization to see. And we're excited to see where this will take us with more investigation. Anyone have any questions?
Yes, indeed. There is a question from online. Mike Haley was asking, how are the user authentications handled to connect to external sites?
So you do have to be logged in to view certain dashboards. For example, Power BI dashboard, you don't need to be logged in. But depending on the software that you're using, for example, HubSpot, you would need to be logged in, and that will deal with the different access points that you would have. And how this works is with single sign-on. And QualiWare is single sign-on. So if I'm logged into HubSpot in my browser, I can view it through that same browser. And with that, I have the full access that I would have logged into HubSpot just through HubSpot site.
So if you have a single sign-on set up, then it's not an issue. But I think Mike, you can unmute yourself if you want to ask the question. I think what the question was, are you getting around any kind of licensing?
No.
By but you have to have a license into the tool that you're.
Yeah.
No, it was more, if you had to log into Power BI specifically to view different dashboards, how do you set that up in QualiWare to pass that authentication to Power BI? It's a particular area we're having some challenges with right now.
So in this case, with the example that we have up here with Power BI, I'm actually not logged into Power BI at all. So, but this would be configured through Power BI's end, where the embed link would be changed based on access. If it was a private dashboard, then the link would be different, and it would contain something to make sure that it is by access only. But in this case, it shows that we don't need to be logged in for all dashboards, and that's on user setup.
On the Power BI side, what you'd be doing is you set up the web service connection from that side, and it winds up being a link that you can use and then embed on the QualiWare side. So, they're assuming that. Now you notice here, we're not actually changing the Power BI stuff here. We're just using the dashboard. And there are certain things that we can click and move and sort and filter. All of those things are the same things that you can do without a license outside of QualiWare, right? If I give somebody that HTML, dashboard, the link for this dashboard, they'll be able to do the same things. It's just I'm embedding it in QualiWare and integrating it with the other parts of my architecture so that, I've done this, now I want to go see, I need some more information from the QualiWare side, so you can do it all in one place.
Okay, thanks. I might just follow up with some of your team then, Kevin, on that particular issue we're seeing. Maybe there's a quick solution for that.
Sure.
Great, thanks.
Maybe you can use the new chatbot.
Thanks.
So we got one more thing to show you. We're getting to the end of our time.
Yeah.
But I think some people haven't seen this before, so I'm gonna pull it up. So I'm actually in the QualiWare demo repository here. So this is something that we use to, when we're showing customers things and when QualiWare wants to show us things. So everybody, I think, recognizes an application architecture diagram, a landscape, and you can have data connections that flow between systems. And I can click on that data connection, and I can see, you know, different information about it. You know, all the compliance, linkages, things like that. And you can see that, it's my diagram. Now, there's different items here. Should have broken down to the lower level diagram, but go there. Come on. Not gonna cooperate. The thing with them.
It breaks down to in the right.
Yeah, it breaks down to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Up to.
No, at the top, Kevin.
breaks down to this. You're right. Breaks down to this. Thank you. So location information. Now, also breaks down to a lower level. But I can actually tie that to a data interface object. That data interface object links to an API. This is a publicly available API in the real estate industry. So I can actually link to that API. So it could be an API that's built by a manufacturer of another piece of software. I can actually link to that. And QualiWare has embedded in it an open API browser. And that's what open has opened. And that open API browser says, I'm going to go look at that API connection that you've tied me to. And here's the kind of information that it shows. Buildings, building components, devices, all kinds of information coming from that system. And if I select building, I can actually open that up, and you start to see it's getting lower and lower in terms of code. So you can actually see the kind of code that I need to embed in my queries. And I could say, give it to me as an HTTP request. And you could actually go and get it in a JSON format or whatever. C#. etc. So this is actually generated the code that you need to use, setting up, you know, the get, where to go get the information, how to pull the information across. And so you can start to, you know, whoever's building your APIs can take that code and then test it. So by virtue of QualiWare embedding that open API browser here, it allows you to actually go and build and test code for your APIs. So this is in 10.9.
There a open API for QualiWare?
No.
You know, that's like, and then, you know,
Yes.
1010?
But say I'm connecting with SAP, right? You're going to have to like the push comes from them, right? I want to connect with, what code do I need to either pull it or to push information out? Anyhow, this will allow you to build these kinds of things. They also have an QDM, right, Phil? QDO. QDO is another test facility for API code that you can use with QualiWare to test your API code. Will it pull the stuff in or push the stuff out through that interface? That's another thing that we're going to put up on the GitHub. So it's a very simple code testing interface to test your API commands. But here's a way to actually embed that in your architecture landscape models. Like when I first saw this, I went, well, what's this real property thing? And I said, go Google it. And there it was out there. It's a free open API for connecting to all of this real property information that's sitting out there. So, vendors that publish these kinds of API connections, you can link directly to those things and generate the code to access information. Everybody's rules, for different software is different, or whether it costs you anything to do that. Or you do what JR is doing, which is a flat file coming out of your financial system that gets read in every day. This is a real-time connection, always on. So you need to determine what your business needs are for currency. Do your user groups need this information to be that up to date, or is next day good enough? And then you have to start dealing with your network guys as well, connections between different applications and different domains and things like that. But I did want to show you an example right here of actually embedding it in your models, embedding that interface in your models, and being able to generate, test code. So that's it.
Okay, thank you.
So now you have this recorded, so if you need to go back and play it through again and look at it and see the different layers we went through to do that, you can do it. And I think QualiWare in the Center of Excellence provides a fair bit of information about the open API capabilities now in the tool set. And again, this is compliments of the browser that they've, the open API browser that they've incorporated into the software set. So.
Okay, so thanks everybody for coming. Really appreciate it, and really nice to see the folks here in the room and overflow room. The next meeting is going to be in September. We're taking a break. There's Barry waving. Maybe you'll come and see us in September, Barry.
Leave the lake and.
Leave the lake and next meeting will be in September. We didn't cover the DevOps and QualiWare agenda item today. We weren't able to get it working the way we wanted. So we've deferred that to the September meeting. There was also a suggestion made that we have everybody submit questions and topics that they're interested in ahead of the meeting. So I will follow up with everybody in July and again in August to get your input, what questions you want covered, what topics you'd be interested in having more dialogue about, so that we can craft the agenda for the September meeting. And last but not least, I've been asked by QualiWare to request reviews. The Gartner Magic Quadrant is coming up soon. Gartner is a research company, and they put out information about EA tools, and they rate different tools on a scale. So we've been asked by QualiWare to provide some reviews for that, so I'll be following up and sending you all a link to go in and actually complete a review if you're willing to do that. So that's it, everybody. Thanks so much.